The secondary weapon. Often overlooked for a rifle, but can be very effective. Enter the sidearm, and in this case, Counter-Strike's Glock and USP-S and Valorant's equivalents, the Classic and Ghost. In those games, the pistol takes center stage twice during the 2 pistol rounds, once to kick off the game, and once after halftime. These are momentum-setting openers that puts the winning team in an advantageous position. In modern media, sidearms are more plentiful between the hard-boiled noir detective or the run-of-the-mill bad guy. The Glock, with its unique look and variety of models, is especially popular. Even John Wick picked one up in his second movie. So today on Esports Armory, we're looking at the backup singers to the main stars, and we have the pros from around the scene to break down the importance of the sidearm. In most video games, especially faster-paced ones like Call of Duty and Battlefield, the sidearm sits in the shadow of the primary, and we're all guilty of reloading our main weapon instead of switching to our pistol mid-firefight. But the sidearm can generate incredible value in milsims like Escape from Tarkov. While the USP has yet to make an appearance in that game, the Glock offers a few varieties to players. And if you're low on cash, you may get lucky on a pistol run, stumbling across dead players, or picking one off yourself. In Rainbow Six Siege, operators Jackal, Mira, and Oryx all sport the USP-40, capable secondaries that see minimal use. But the 2 main games where the pistol remains pivotal are CSGO and Valorant. The pistol rounds that start the game and kick off the second half are important for a few reasons. First, winning that first round means more money in your pocket, which means more flexibility in your second round buys and strats. Second, it does the opposite for the enemy team, limiting their options and forcing them into essentially a second pistol round. In CSGO, the T side gets the Glock 18, modeled after the real-world Glock 26, and is capable of a 3-round burst. The CT side gets the USP-S, a silenced variant of the USP that was added as an alternative to the P2000. But in pro play, the USP-S is the way to go. In Valorant, both sides start with the Classic, which is also able to pump out a 3-round burst that's more akin to a shotgun blast. However, for just $500, players also regularly purchase a first-round Ghost, a more powerful, silenced pistol with a huge magazine of 15 rounds. So how are these weapons used in esports? Let's ask the pros what's the good, the bad, and pick their brains on who comes to mind when they think of great pistol players.
Well, my first experiences with the Glock and the USP, I definitely favored, personally, the Glock more because it has more bullets and I'm more of a fast shooter, I would say. I gotta appreciate the USP because that's the silencer and it's sneaky, it doesn't have any tracers through smokes. It's nice when you're able to eliminate an opponent without seeing them sometimes, for example, through a smoke. In Counter-Strike, you have to think of the economic system, so do I have enough money? Can my teammates drop me this weapon? But also you have to think about the strategy and what map you're on. That really comes into play. So if I'm in a more of a long distance map and I'm playing the round more slowly, then I'll probably use the Deagle over a different pistol. But if I want to do a faster strategy or more of my angles are close range, then I'll have to use a different pistol over the Deagle.
Let's go.
The Glock is the better starting pistol by a wide margin. I think pretty much throughout my entire career, I always favored the Glock. As soon as it got buffed, at least. After that buff, the Glock just became 5 times better than the USP just because of how accurate you are on the run, and you really just don't have to stop moving and you can just shoot people. Whereas the USP requires a lot more like counter strafing. Body shot is really, really weak. Like if they have armor and you don't instantly headshot, you kind of just give up on the round because you're probably dead.
The Glock, nothing particularly comes to mind. I think the USP, because of the range you have, the headshots versus the Glock is always going to be more notable. So, I mean, historically, we always looked at Dennis as one of the pistol kings. But in current top flight Counter-Strike, my most recent memory is Device on Train getting a very fast 3K with the USP on the B bomb site.
The Classic and the Ghost. When I think of the Classic, I think of Old Faithful, right? Like, you know what you're gonna get. It may not be flashy, it may not hit very hard, it may not be the best weapon in the game, but she's consistent and she can kind of get you out of bad situations that you might find yourself in. The Ghost though, the Ghost is a lot of fun. You'll spend a little bit more, but with that comes the benefits of the Ghost. And very similar to the Sheriff, when I think about the Ghost, I think about players in pistol rounds to start a half, first half or the second half, and you've got them going against players that often don't have light armor, who may have bought a weapon and then just had some utility. So you put them in a situation where if the aim is nice, you're able to click on a couple of heads, you get something with the Ghost that you don't get with the Classic. You get that additional punch, you get that additional accuracy, and I think those are really fun to watch as well.
In my opinion, I actually think the Classic's OP. The right click is so compact that you can basically kill someone, especially on pistol round, really easily without needing to kind of stand still and aim that much. The Ghost is probably my favorite starting pistol. When you're feeling it with the Ghost, that gun just owns. So I really like it on pistol, but sometimes if I'm holding an angle and suddenly a Classic jumps around the corner and right clicks me, I can get a little bit tilted.
The Ghost was an interesting one. Again, we're looking at parts, right? And we wanted to differentiate the Ghost and the Classic. So you'll notice like one has a hammer, the other one doesn't. Has the sort of like, the Ghost has the sort of Glock striking pin, whereas like the Classic still has a traditional hammer. You play other games and one pistol from another, they kind of, outside of like their materials, look very, very similar. Little things that we did where the Ghost, the top slide of it, isn't the same sort of makeup as the one for the Classic. The Classic is more traditional, either like USP or Glock, whereas we actually took the top of a Desert Eagle and made that sort of the Ghost slide that we have, just to make sure that in first person, there's enough identifiable things distinct from one another.
In gaming, it can be pretty satisfying to win an extended battle by quick drawing your pistol to finish the fight. But what's the history of the Glock and USP? And how are they featured in the real world? For those answers, we turn to our military tech advisor, Hugh Daly.
Today, we're going to talk about the Glock versus the USP. Well, one of the most popular sidearms, secondary transitional weapon in video gaming is, of course, the Glock. And in this case, it's Glock 19. It's an Austrian design. It originated in the 1980s. Quite unique when it came out because of the square barrel and receiver area here. It took a lot of criticism because of that, and people said, oh, it's ugly, it's blocky, it looks like a toy, it's not a real gun. But actually the thinking behind it was very, very smart. It's a lot simpler to make and mill something like this than a curved surface. So there was really no need to make it curved or rounded. They just simplified the design, which Austrians are very good at doing. So it's clean, it's ergonomic, and because of that, it's very widely used around the world by police forces and by military units.
What the hell is that?
Now, one of the unique things about it is it doesn't have a hammer and it doesn't have a safety. The safeties are all internal in this weapon. There's two internal ones and one here. This is a little release that's on the edge of the trigger. So when you pull the trigger, it actually feels a little more softer, like a sponge, as opposed to a traditional trigger pull. Also unique is the fact that you can easily accessorize it. The lowers now come with the standard Weaver rail type configuration, so you can put lasers and lights on these very easily. And that's one of the unique things about the Glock. Plus, they make them in various different calibers now. So, the venerable Hector & Koch USP, a little bit bigger, bulkier than the Glock, and certainly a little bit heavier than the Glock. 45, big round, double action, so that you can cock it, release the trigger, and it will still fire. You see them in video games, occasionally in movies, with a suppressor fitted to them. And the question always is, well, in games it's a muffled sound, there's just a little hint of the weapon being fired. In real life, what does a suppressor sound like?
Ready?
One of the other systems built into the HK USP is a mechanical recoil suppression system, which is actually in this section under here. And a lot of semi-automatic, most semi-automatic pistols have a piston and a spring in this area here. With the correct ammunition, that being the key, this spring combination with the piston, with the gas escaping from the weapon, is supposed to reduce recoil by 30%, which means that when you're on your target and you're firing, your sight picture will not jump as much. I would probably pick this one to use in a video game just because of the stopping power that is attributed to the 45 round. So, Austrian versus German, you pick.
Small but mighty, cheap but efficient. While never your first choice, the pistol is a staple of action media, and in competitive games like CSGO and Valorant offer pivotal gameplay moments. Losing the pistol round isn't the end of the world, but it can certainly send a statement and put your opponents on the back foot. In the end, sidearms will never eclipse a primary like an AK or a Phantom, but they have their place and more often than not can save your life, the round, or the tournament.